the real
cool.
me.
Is this thing on? Yes, it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Fangirlz Assemble. We are brought to you by InStockTrades.com, where you can go and get all types of collected editions from all the publishers in the world for up to 42% off. There is a 2% discount if you are their loyal customer once you purchase. And there's also 50 free shipping in the United States or purchase over $50. And even in you can still purchase if you're international, but the shipping cost is kind of calculated different. But what your heart desire, they will have that book. And we always mention it's not part of our contract, but we have to mention how awesome Emily is. That's kind of, we have to do it. And all the ladies also agree with that. Next week coming up is Fantastic Four by Hickman. The complete collection's coming out. So it is Hulk by Mark Waid and Jerry Duggan, the complete collection. And then one of the ones that I have been looking forward to is Lockjaw, Who is a Good Boy.
He's the best boy.
I know, he's the best boy. So I am pretty sure that's coming out this week, and I am really looking forward to getting that. So head to InStockTrades.com for all your collected editions needs and you can receive up to 42% off. All right. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing good. I think Maddie's a little under the weather.
Yeah, I'm a little sick. It just came on before this, you guys. I'm sorry. So, you guys have heard how much I love Snog.
Maddie, you're cutting off a little bit.
Oh no, Maddie, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you at all. Technical difficulties, you guys. Stay tuned.
She's so sick that she lost her voice.
Oh no, maybe you remember what we talked about, that this is an apocalypse.
Yeah.
That the disease are taking over the Wi-Fi and coming to every one of us. It's happening right now.
That's scary. Anyone watching, watch out. Like,
yes,
I don't know what's gonna happen.
There is a book in there somewhere. We talked about it.
We'll write it.
Matt is giving us. We can't hear you.
Right?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear us? Okay, how about unplug the thing maybe, and then plug it back. This is thrilling entertainment.
Oh, this is like top class entertainment. Oh, did Maddie say she can hear us, so we can't talk bad about her? Well, we can say good things about her.
We still can. This reminds me of a comic book, actually. No, it doesn't. We should write one.
3 girls decided to do a podcast, and then one day, one of them lost their voice.
Oh, now she lost her camera. Okay, well, you want to talk about news?
Hey, I think Maddie just log out and log back in.
Yeah, do that. All right, bye. All right, now let's talk about her.
So yeah, what do we all think about Maddie?
I mean, I think the chat always loves her, so throwing that question out there, we already know the answer.
Right, we love Maddie, and she'll be back. Just wait a second. But how was your week? What have you been up to? Let's talk about that in the meantime.
Well, I've been covering overnights at work, so that's been really hard and long. And sadly, I have not gotten to read at work. Usually, you'd think, oh, no, there's a lot to do. Maddie, oh hi.
Can you even hear me?
Yes! Yay!
I was like, this is getting worse. I can barely breathe. And then this bullshit, I don't cuss during the show, but this might be a special occasion.
It's worth it.
This is your origin story of your cursing, because we saw a different side of Maddie before we went live, because we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about it, but we're like, whoa, Maddie, is that you? What happened?
My roommate's dog was barking, and I was giving him some harsh words because dogs don't understand human language.
That's what you think. Just wait till that dog does something to you while you're sleeping. Just wait.
No.
All right, now that Matt is back, we can begin the show. So we wanted to kind of today just talk about all the random books we have read over the last week and even before then. So kind of talk some of our favorites and things like that. But at the same time, there's a couple of news that we wanted to chat about. Kristen, do you want to start us off with the news and views you got?
Yes. So the news for me that I cared most about this week was Buffy is officially not going to be with Dark Horse anymore. We don't know who's going to pick it up. I'm very curious. A lot of people are throwing out Marvel, and that would be great. Because I'm hoping if that happens, they'll reprint all the seasons and like a big fatty omnibus, and it will make my life. Because I'll rebuy that. Yeah. I'll rebuy it 1,000,000 times.
Do we have to rebuy all the library editions we already have?
Well, see, I don't think that. I mean, they won't put that out. And if Boom gets it like they got Firefly, they won't put that out because they just don't make things that size, right? Mm. So if we just have like a chunky, oversized omnibus, that would be great.
But that's true though, because I never seen Marvel make like absolute editions. Like they make those giant platinum editions. Those are like even like, you know, it's like DC put their absolute. They're like, we can do this.
Right.
Fuck it, bitches. Yeah. So I feel like, oh, how about Image? Like, do you think they might pick that up, or I don't
think they do any sort of licenses. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's all like indie, independent stuff.
Right, but how much more is left to be collected?
Well, they're just finishing up season 12, which is only 4 issues. So I think they knew for a while. And I know that's coming out in trade. I don't know what's going to happen with the library editions. They're only just now, the rest of the year, they're coming out with season 10. And that took them like 3 years to start making those again. Right. So season 11 and 12 and some like mini-series they did, that could all fit in one really nice. But I don't know if they'll do that. I hope they do that. That'd be really nice. But
so when does the licensing ends? Is it already gone, or?
I think it's coming through like maybe next year sometime.
Oh.
So they can still put out what they're putting out, but they don't have more plans than that from what I hear.
So how many issues per library edition?
I gotta look. There's 4 library editions of season 8, 3 for season 9. Season 10 is gonna have 3.
Okay.
I think season 11 was a little shorter, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember.
But, you know, anyway, it's in, like, you know, let's just hope that they can continue printing them. I haven't read, like, you know. So if, I actually had a question for you about that, though. If someone who hasn't seen the show, can they pick those up and dive right in?
You can. It does continue the show, but I think you really can just pick them up and enjoy them. I mean, now it's hard because, as Maddie knows, she's looking for like one of the rare season 9 hardcovers that you can't find anywhere. So if you want to read it in trades, you can, but I'm not sure that that's like really difficult from what I hear.
You're looking overtly smug for
if
someone.
Any of our viewers like has the hookup on season 9, what?
Volume 3?
Book 3, Volume 3. Library edition, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, Kristen is just looking rather smug about like, oh, I have all of them. If you want to find out, you can just go.
She's just like, well, listen, you pleb, you should have already gotten the damn book if you're a real fan.
Exactly.
I mean,
why would you wait until I got a print?
You can borrow it though.
Oh, that would be nice. But all right, okay. So that's the Buffy news. I heard that you have another news. You were rather like, well, I was more outraged about it than you were. But then I come to find out that it wasn't as outrageous. I was just being like, you know, toxic fangirl. So do you want to talk about that one?
You talking about me?
Yeah.
I had another thing.
Oh my God.
Oh no. What was it? Tell me.
The one with the Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, the big rumor right now is that Tom Cruise is in the running to play Green Lantern. I don't like Tom Cruise at all. So I was just like, I don't care.
Yeah, I super don't like Tom Cruise. And he's not Hal Jordan, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the look. Just cast Nathan Fillion, obviously. Zero question. Just cast Nathan Fillion. He'd be great. But if we're not going to cast him, even though they should, like, don't cast Tom Cruise. Please. He doesn't have the same, like, I don't know. You have to be goofy but charming.
So I don't think he's playing Hal Jordan, though. I think he was supposed to be a character that's supposed to be killed off. But then now He's asking for a script rewrite.
Right. Which is really ridiculous of any actor, I think. But okay. That just shows you the kind of person he is. I mean, come on.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Green Lantern. Like, you know, out of the 4 are the Green Lantern. Now they have like 2 more: Jessica Cruz and Simon Buzz.
That guy.
Yeah, so that guy, Simon Buzz. But out of the 6, I think like most interesting is Jon Stewart, because he was in the Justice League animated series. So I really kind of like him. And I don't know, like Idris Elba as that, because, you know, that's like the only Black actor we know.
Well, I mean, I love him. I wish he could play everything. He's
wonderful. Great.
Right.
But also, you know, Jon Stewart's really interesting in the way that he like creates, and again, I haven't read too much Green Lantern, so I don't know all the right vernacular.
Right.
But the way that he creates his projections, where he knows every little bit and piece of how that thing is made, and so his mind goes through and builds that from scratch to make it.
Yeah,
it's so neat.
Because he's
and
an
I think
architect.
if you could really harness that and do it well in the movie with CGI, it would be really, really cool.
Yeah, because I think he's an architect. Like, you know, that's why he could do it that way. But the thing is, like, I read the whole Jeff Johns Green Lantern and Peter Thomas's Green Lantern Corps, the series, and I felt like I had enough Green Lantern in my life after that. And I don't know, I felt like they're a little bit, I'm like, okay, thank you. I mean, you know, it's like one of those people that you know at work. You're like, oh, you're not that interesting, so get out of my life.
I can see that. I like the stories that come out of that a lot, but so far I haven't read a Green Lantern where I was like, I've got to know everything. Right. You know, it hasn't hit me there yet. So, I mean, there could be a story waiting out there for me to be like, okay, well, I'm so into this.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind if he's a supporting character. Like, it's okay. You know, there's like always this older actors who does this supporting actor character kind of thing in all comic book movies. I'm okay to do that, but I just hope it's not Green Lantern. Like, it's not the name Green Lantern, him, like, you know, whoever that is. So yeah, but otherwise I don't have much to say about that. All right, Maddie, do you have any news for us? Any news, views?
I mean, news, I don't think. I can talk about what I've been doing recently, but that's about it.
That.
Okay, so I got an IST order in this week, and that was really exciting for me because I want a buying band, with the exception being for our show. So I finally have it in. I'm not reading it yet until right before our show on September 1st. I'm kind of saving it. But I have it. But also yesterday, there was a book signing in my town for this graphic novel that I've been really, really excited about. And hopefully some of our viewers have read it. I'm not sure. But it's The Adventure Zone, Here There Be Gremlins. And it's based off a podcast, a D&D podcast, made by these 3 brothers and their dad, who also have another funny podcast called My Brother, and Me. The whole family does podcasts. Mabim Bam. I'm a huge fan. The Adventure Zone is great. I'm also a fan of D&D, but I didn't start playing until after this book. It's really funny, and they do a really good job of not only having those characters, but also having that D&D element with your, like, the dungeon master. Right. So he kind of pops in as like a little commentator throughout the book. So you still know that that's what's happening, but you've got beautiful visuals to what they're doing. And I'm really excited to see how it goes out, because it really becomes something very heartwarming and moving. But this first part of the book is so great, and the art is perfect. Like, I'm such a big fan. It's all colored pages. Right. It's very cartoonish and animated. I love it. The artist's name is Carrie. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Pietsch. Pietsch, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm probably butchering that. Sorry. But she sent them fan art once of The Adventure Zone, which is their podcast. And they chose her to do the art for their book. And it's beautiful. And so I was at the signing, and 3 of them were there. All of the 3 characters were in attendance. And I thought I was only going to get 2 of them, I got all 3, and I was very excited. And inside, they wrote Justin McElroy, who plays Taco, the wizard, the elven wizard in here, said, "Madeline, you are my hero." So I'm his hero. I'm sure that's just being nice, but I will accept it. But I really recommend this for anybody. It's such a fun jaunt.
So
it's really goofy.
So I was going to ask the same question as I asked Kristen. If someone is not into D&D, can they pick this up and read this?
Oh, absolutely. If you like any sort of, even if you don't like fantasy, I still think it's fun. But if you like fantasy at all, this is such a good time. And it's not just strictly fantasy. They've got some elements that are kind of different and some nice, like, cultural references, of course, because you've got people that are kind of just playing through. But it's so funny. There's a line in here where Taco's attacking somebody, and he goes, "Abraca, fuck you!" It's so good. I really recommend it. Please, everyone, read this. It's so cool.
Is it available in Amazon, IST?
Oh, yeah, everywhere. It'll be on IST also.
Oh, okay, great.
Please, I definitely recommend this. It's such a good pick. And I guarantee you, if you get in right now, you're in for a treat. Even if you've never listened to the podcast, even if you know nothing about D&D, the way this story develops is so moving and beautiful, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm just intrigued by the idea. No, I'm just intrigued by the idea that podcast turning into a comic book.
Well, and my question coming off of that, because, you know, I know what you're talking about. Is it like, do they actually take direct dialogue from the podcast? And is it like direct stories and everything?
They had to change some of it. They added in stuff. So it's not like you're not going to be surprised by what you see, because there's going to be other stuff. But there is a lot of direct dialogue. So there's one point, and I don't know if you remember it from it, but there's a scene where they're like, "And then you cleaved through the monster." Cleaved? Cleft? Maybe cleft. Yeah, I think it's cleft. And the 4 of them are all talking. The DM and then the 3 character are all like, "I don't know. Cleft? Cleaved?" Whatever. It's fine. And so they do put that kind of stuff in there. You still get that little dialogue, which is what really enriches it, which is the points when they make themselves laugh too much, and they put those in there. So, like, the DM, who's like the kind of god in the sky, right? He's like the narrator of the story, and then the 3 characters are all kind of in a like a joke in between themselves. So it's really cool. So please read it.
Awesome.
Oh, I'll check that out. Like if it's in Amazon or in stock trade.
Oh yeah, and it's not an expensive book. It's just like it's $20. So in stock trades, it's 42% off of that probably. So please check it out.
Awesome. All right.
Also, lesbian orc. Is the orc lesbian? Yeah. So that's cool if you're into that.
You're into lesbian orc.
Okay.
Like get this.
What's everybody else up to?
That's a sign off. All right. Anything else going on, Maddie?
I ran a panel today at a convention.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I ran a panel on how to find your own photographer for your cosplay, because I do cosplay photography and I cosplay.
So did what you say the whole time? You were just like, hire me.
Yeah. Hey, I'm also you, but also I'm this. Well, here's the thing. Since it's a Sunday morning at a con, and it's a small con, no one came. So I ran this panel to basically one person, and that was about it. But it was fine because it was 30 minutes. I got a free badge, 2 badges. So my boyfriend sat in and I talked to him, and then we went around, and then I did a photo shoot for someone at 2. So it was a nice little trial.
Does that mean that was just a conversation?
Basically, so I was just like, well, in case anybody comes in, I don't want to seem like I'm not doing anything. Here's my panel. I'll tell it to you who just already listened to me talk about this morning, because I just finished my panel this morning. So, that happens, you guys. Sometimes you make a panel for a convention and no one comes, and that's okay. and we're all going to make it out of this together.
But hey,
also, I think I sound delusional because I'm on NyQuil, and just sorry in advance for everyone who's listening to me at home.
No, but the thing is, see, there's 25 people currently showed up to listen to you now, so that's something.
They all would have showed up to that panel if they were there in real life.
Exactly. I would have if I knew.
I'd be front row.
Yeah, so it's as I was saying, I'm like, it happens, but this is like, there's a story there somewhere that you will put that when you were like a big time cosplayer and cosplay photographer, then you're like, my first panel, you young whippersnappers, guess what happened?
Way back then.
I said it's not my first one. I've been doing these for years. It's my first one with nobody.
Hey, listen, this is your first one in an August Sunday. What is today? August 19th, in that particular con. We have ways about this. Like,
So, Freya, your big news. I saw some cosplayers from it this weekend.
All right.
Tell us about the latest
and greatest.
Overly dramatic teenage Tumblr news today.
So because, I'm kind of in a little bit like, I'm no longer a teenager, but I kind of like to keep tabs of what the young whippersnappers are up to. I have a Tumblr, Tumblr blog where and people are like, oh, if you ask me what's the Tumblr's about, well, guess what my Tumblr's about and what kind of pictures you're going to find on my Tumblr.
A lot of beards and abs.
It's just one person's beard and one person's abs. That's all you get there. But I also get to kind of keep an eye on what other people's younger generations up to. And one of the things that has happened is that Voltron Season 7 debuted last weekend or 2 weekends ago. Anyway, and because of that, there has been a lot of controversy surrounding that. Now, those of you who know Voltron, this is like a retelling of the story that's only happening in Netflix. So this is kind of a modernized version of the old Voltron back in when, which I haven't seen, but I have been watching this Voltron from day one. Day one that they I saw a trailer a month ago, and then on the day that it first came on Netflix, I've been watching it. And the show is one of the best shows ever because it's done by the same people who were involved in Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra. Legend of Korra. So it has the kind of like the same humor, same kind of character development, long-form storytelling. Like the characters that they began with in season 1 are not the same. They have gone through so much. It's a very diverse character, and it's kind of set in a world where it's like Star Trek, where it's not a nation. The nations are gone. It's like a little bit federation. So like they have Cubans working with Americans, that kind of thing. One of the characters is actually Cuban. So it turned out, and this is a spoiler in a way, so close your eyes if you don't want to hear this. Their leader, Shiro, is actually gay. That was revealed this season. And however, it was there was a huge outrage about it because the boyfriend that was introduced was subsequently killed off without the characters having to, have any kind of interactions, any kind of proper interactions. It was just mentioned once, like they were shown in a flashback scene, and then when he came back, he was dead. So there was this whole queer baiting, like hashtag Voltron is queer baiting, and how this is not cool and all that is going on, which I completely understand because there's not enough representation. We talked about it all the time. So when you kind of bring something in and then you just take it away without even developing it, it just felt like pandering, and it felt like you're just doing it for the marketing purpose. But the problem began that now the writers actually came back, like the show's creator came back and said that they're sorry, they didn't understood it, understood what effect it will have, and they shouldn't have done this, blah, blah, blah. But the problem begins is like all the people from Tumblr and other locations are sending their creators and voice actors death threats, which I I don't appreciate that, like, you know, which is not cool. Not cool no matter who's doing it. There's already all these death threats against Ruby Rose wanting to play a gay, you know, will be playing a gay character. And then there is all these different things, like, you know, things we hear now from the supposedly inclusive side, you know, suppose the side which is all about inclusion and all that. Now you are doing the same thing. And to me, I just wanted to kind of talk about that how it's not okay. And like, no matter who you are and who you're doing it for too.
Yeah, no, like it's fine to be upset, and that's definitely an issue. Like basically a lot of things that we see a lot of gay characters going through, especially couples, the same thing that was pointed out by Gail Simone, right? Gail Simone did forever ago with the fridge, right? Women being fridged and women being killed in order to perpetuate a male character story, which I think we've come a long way with. I think we were doing a lot better with that because we are making those kind of strides. If anything, keep it even. I'm gonna kill people.
Right.
Kill them across the board, you know? But there's a similar situation actually with the Adventure Zone, the comic I just talked about. Adventure Zone. They actually had 2 lesbian characters in here. It was one of their arcs. But at one point at the end, the 2 women died. And they didn't realize, you know, I think a lot of creators, there's a lot going on, right, in the process of making anything. And you don't always know. And I'm not going to fault people for just not knowing. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people go in immediately thinking they did this on purpose. They don't care. A lot of times people don't know. And yes, you should vocalize that you're upset. And you should vocalize that you're sad that this has happened again in a media that you love, because it could be done better and it's not necessary. And in some cases, it's lazy storytelling. But you're not going to teach anybody by being violent about it or you know, threatening violence in any way. And we definitely see this a lot from a lot of Tumblr community and younger people. Right. You know, they're in the right place. They want more inclusive, diverse media. And I'm so glad. And they can be such a powerful force. But so often younger people in the group, and not always younger people either, tend to take it in a way that is not appropriate. You're not changing anything. And if anything, you're worse than those creators. Stop demonizing and trying to threaten people that just don't know. Take your time to educate them, or just at least be like, you know, this thing happened and I didn't appreciate it. And as a consumer of your media, I'm very upset. Like, here's the deal. Like, maybe if they come out afterwards and we're like, hey, we don't care, always doesn't matter. Okay, me a little angry. But again, it does not justify death threats. It does not justify violence. It's just like going back to the whole Tom King thing too with Batman, right? Number 50. You guys knew I was upset. We have voice messages about me being very upset about how it's my villain origin story. That this is the end and all this stuff because I was mad. It's okay to be mad. You should be mad. It's upsetting. It's upsetting to see, you know, your things not go away in your story. It's okay. It's okay to be upset about a media you love. But hey, guess what? If you threaten someone, you're going too far. You're going too far, and nothing's going to change, and you suck as a person. It's like, sorry, you shouldn't do that. Right.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I considered this show to be extremely advanced in terms of like the way they show diverse cast, not necessarily diverse cast, but the diverse characters, and then how far their journey has become and stuff like that. And I kind of understand why they done it, because this particular character, there's only one person they could take away from, because everyone else had lost someone. So this is kind of like the only person, but it wasn't like that. Like, you know, the boyfriend kind of passed away not as like a, you know, as a revenge for him. He was also a fighter and he died in war. So in that case, I mean, but still the thing, my thing was, why introduce the boyfriend in the first place? Just say that he's gay. That's okay too. That he's a single gay. Like, you know, that could have been as cheap, because the thing is, the character of Shiro has come so far, like from the first season to now. Like, he became such a great leader. The fact that, and he's like the only one, like, you know, he runs the whole thing now, and the fact that him to be gay, it's like a huge, like, you know, huge advancement. But by having this other story, you are overshadowing that. Then by having all this death threat story, you're overshadowing that too. So now it's like it's like a lose situation for everyone.
Yeah, I think this is another example of just the toxic 2018 we all live in right now. Everyone thinks that this is okay behavior because we see certain behaviors and we think that's okay, and it's not okay. It should just be common sense by now, right? Like, don't act like this.
You'd think after all this, like you'd think after having having gone through this like the week before with like, a gay character being cast, like a gay actor being cast as a gay character, and then having all this thing, people would be like, oh wait, we are not gonna become those people. Oh no, we're gonna become those people. Like, it's
important to recognize it's on both sides.
It's everyone
for sure. I mean, not everybody's sides, but there's several. There's several groups that do the same.
Right.
Yeah, all viewpoints do it for their own views.
Right. And then they're also kind of, the fans are also forcing for another two characters to become, gay characters. I'm like, if that happens, that's like the most pandering thing that will ever happen in the history of media, because those two characters do not get along. They're just because they have a banter doesn't mean they should be, they should be in a relationship. That's just like, ugh. Like, I hate that when it happens with like, male and female. Like, but anyway, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
So,
as a matter of this,
I have a question for you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Just I'm done. I'm done with my rant.
So, kind of related. You guys brought this up earlier when we were talking about it, but and maybe some of our viewers know. I was trying to think if there's any instances in comics that were similar, as far as like maybe a gay relationship, right? Because I couldn't think of any, but I'm also newer to the genre. So, do any of you have examples of something like that in comics? Because we come a lot really far as women, I feel like, in comics and female characters, but in their relationships with people. But have we had an instance like this where there's a gay relationship and then one of them was killed off? Like,
well, and do you mean that
is that typical in comics?
In the sense of just that, or like the queer baiting?
This type of thing, like the queer bait. Well, queer baiting's definitely a thing in comics too, but like the whole like if you're in a gay relationship, you gotta die. Like, because I see that in media a lot. I see that in a lot of TV shows. We've had issue with like CW shows with that as well. Do you guys see this in comics? Or we can talk about queer baiting in comics too, because I can't think of a lot of instances, but I haven't seen a lot either in comics either. Because I've seen instances of like, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of queer baiting in comics either. So do you guys have any examples besides?
I think of like Wonder Woman though, like that conversation we had, an episode or two ago, where it's like, okay, you're gonna say she's bi, but you're not actually gonna show it. Really, kind of the same.
And the thing is, like, that was also the same conversation that came with the Voltron thing too. It's like, oh, they didn't even show it right. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe these people in Tumblr have never met a gay, like, straight person or straight man in their life. I'm like, no straight man turned to another straight man and said, if you go on to this, do not expect me to wait for you. That doesn't happen. Like, you just don't say that. I'm sorry, Maddie, Kristen, if you decide to go on war, I would not be saying that. Because you know what? Friendship is for life. Relationship has constraint. Relationship has these kind of thing that, people expect certain things from others, but friendship doesn't. So the thing is, like, that was very clear cut. Like the same way with the people are like, oh, J.K. Rowling queer baited with Dumbledore. I'm like, no, she didn't. Because as I was reading all his, like, how Dumbledore, every time Dumbledore talked about Grindelwald and his eyes just started shining, I'm like, oh, you gay, son.
You love him.
Yeah, you love him. Like, I knew it. And that was like a time when I wasn't, I was in Bangladesh, like, I wasn't even exposed to this many kind of thing. But the thought crossed my mind. But it just like, you were used to a certain way of talking. Like, not everyone has to talk like, oh, my love, my heart bleeds for you. Let's fuck over here. No one does that. Like, it's just like, what? Real life people doesn't do that. So, yeah, like, there was a lot of that. But the thing is, in terms of queer baiting or not having things gone through, I know that there was a whole controversy about Batwoman not being allowed to get married in a New 52. That was a big thing, but I kind of also understand where they're coming from, because they were not there were equal opportunity, no marriage at that time. Like, you know, no one gets to be married. I don't know.
Yeah, no one really gets married in comics. So.
No one was allowed to get married in DC at that time. Like, even all the married couple were divorced, because I don't know whether the chief editor got divorced or what happened with DC Comics.
Bitter about marriage, yeah.
Well, they also reset everything in New 52 also, right? So like Black Canary and Green Arrow weren't together and all that sad stuff.
But the thing is, like, I think like that was a good move on their side, because as soon as you marry someone, it becomes a thing. And then now if you're divorcing them, then there's a huge backlash of, oh, you don't have enough happy gay couple who are married. Now you introduced one and you're taking them away. So you're creating a different kind of controversy, I felt. Mm-hmm. So
people don't even know how to write. People often don't know how to write happy couples together either, especially in comics, especially in any media. People just don't understand how to write. There's a few staples, right? You know, I feel like that we see like Mr. Fantastic, his wife, and I don't know, whatever Black Canary and Green Arrow together is pretty great. But like, and Lois and Clark, right? But we have like staple couples. And they're together, but there's not always like room for new couples to be together. It's like, well, one of you's gonna die eventually, or you're gonna get divorced, or you're gonna go sleep with a ghost man, and it's gonna ruin the marriage. That's what happened with Mockingbird, right? That's not what happened with Mockingbird. Didn't she like? That's what she said in her comic. She was like, "Hey, like Hawkeye and I got divorced because she slept with a ghost man, and then killed him." I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. It's NyQuil. It's do my best.
You're just writing your fan fiction on here. No big deal.
Yeah.
No, I swear that's what happened in Mockingbird.
No, I believe you. You were right. You were actually right. I think something like that happened, and then you were like, like, you know, it's like, keep it together, people. Like
J-Rox said, you must be together for 20 years before marriage. Yeah, basically, you know.
Say that again.
J-Rox on the chat said you have to be together for 20 years before marriage.
Oh yeah, that's
in comics, sure. And then Philip was talking about, again, stories seem to work. Forced relationships of any kind don't work and are just terrible. I don't disagree with that. I think they do force some of, you know, marriages for the storyline, and they don't really work. Or sometimes they force the end of it. Yeah, sometimes they force the divorce.
The whole time in Brubaker's Captain America, anytime Steve Rogers and Sharon was together, I'm like, oh my God, that's his nurse. Like, you know, because he's so old and she's young. I'm like, oh my God. I don't care what kind of super serum running through that dick, but cut this shit out. Like,
Quote of the day. I don't care what kind of super serum running through that dick.
Like, no, that was so cringy, because I'm like, please stop. Stop. Like, you know, and that was so forced, because the only reason they had to do it, because God forbid a superhero, like, you know, a manly man like him is single. People might talk, clutch my pearl. Ugh, just terrible. Anyway, what were we talking about? How do we even get there?
I don't know. We've asking questions.
All right.
Well, what's everybody been reading?
Right. So we decided that today we're going to talk about things that we have read, because apparently that's what these things are for. I didn't come up with that. Kristen told me. Kristen's like, yeah, you need to read those things. So
yes.
So we all read a bunch of stuff. Some of them are common. Some of them are kind of like, you know, like we have ourselves read it. So who want to go first? Kristen, do you want to start?
Okay. Yes, I would also like to show off a different thing that I got. My friend, I know Maddie, you talked about being at Gen Con, and my friend Kyle was there. Kyle starts reading his books. I have to say that every time. But they had some exclusive pins, enamel pins, which I collect with my fiance. We have a big collection. We love them. So I was like, hey, pick these up for me. And he did, because he's a nice guy. So this is the first one, which is from, can you see that? Tea Dragon Society. It is so cute. It's one of the dragons. So that's cute. And then
I saw that at their booth when they were sold out of the game that I wanted.
Oh, I wondered about that. I want to play it.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Should have got the pin. But anyway, this is a Sparky. is from Dead of Winter.
Yeah,
He's a good boy. And then this is from Kim Reaper, which I don't know if you guys have read, but you should.
I've read Kim Reaper. I read it recently on my big comicsology binge. I love the artist behind it. She's the one who also writes like that webcomic about her and her boyfriend, husband, fiance, whatever.
Oh, really? I read those. Those are so cute.
They're
so hilarious. Cute. And that same humor translates into Kim Reaper.
You should read it.
It's very much just like really just goofy and honest and direct, just the same way as her comics are, where she's just adorable.
So silly, and the dialogue is perfect. It's so great.
So Kim Reaper. I'm gonna write this down. All right.
Write it down. Okay, so the first book I'm going to talk about reading is this cute little, everything's cute to me apparently, deluxe hardcover of Fullmetal Alchemist, which is a manga.
I didn't know you read that.
You know what? I haven't read it until today, actually. But it's a very nice little hardcover. This is like a volume and a half, I think. I loved it. Everyone already probably knows what this is, so whatever, but I loved it.
There's an anime for that as well, right?
Yes, there's two.
There's two. One came out while the manga was ongoing. So at some point it caught up and the story changed. And so they made another anime that's a little more polished that actually follows the manga.
That's Brotherhood, yeah?
Yeah, Brotherhood. And they're both really, really good. Honestly, I think, we don't really talk about manga much on here, but I think you'd like it. The story's really good. The characters are
really great,
really well developed. Really everybody, and the villains are really good. And there's a lot of twists to the story, a lot of crying. I remember
within this, I was like, "Oh, I'm emotional about this."
Oh yeah, and it gets very intense, very graphic sometimes. I remember finishing the anime Brotherhood, at my library in college because we had limited bandwidth in our dorms, and so I would go and use the library bandwidth and go from computer to computer to computer and watch like 3 or 4 episodes at a time because it's as much the bandwidth can handle and watch through the show.
That's awesome. I started that first anime like a long time ago and I never finished it. And now I'm like, well, these are coming out, these hardcovers. I thought that was the perfect way to get it. I don't know if you can see like the glossiness on it, but these are just so pretty and they're like shiny and I love it. So I'm going to get these.
What's the story about?
They're these two brothers. They're alchemists. It's in the title, you guys. I'm going to show you more art. But basically, like, their mom dies. It's not a spoiler. It's like the first part of the book. And they try to bring her back with alchemy, and it doesn't work. And instead, like, the little brother loses his body, and he's, like, cursed to this. Here he is. He's, like, cursed to this suit of armor. And then this main guy loses his arm and his leg, and it's about basically their adventures to try to like get especially the little brother's body back because that must suck living in a suit of armor.
Yeah, it does.
Be a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that you're trying to get me into manga. That's how you say it. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna start my first one with my brother's husband and then do Death Note. But that's where it ends. Stop trying to get into more.
No, if I could have one manga request for the both of you.
Oh God!
And Omar's watching this, I think, and he would agree with me. No, because I love you both, but you'd have to like. I'd have to give you I have a One Piece panel. People do go to that one where I talk about how to get into One Piece. I'd have to sit you guys down and like figure out the best way to get you guys into it. It's way too long for you guys, probably. I don't think you guys would like it. But
I literally have the whole first box set. So
if I can get either of you to read any manga,
Monster is literally my favorite manga of all time. So I've already read it and I love it. So Freya, get on it.
Now I have to.
It's so good.
I have to.
It's so good. It's about a guy who, well, spoilers, it's right at the beginning. Yeah. But basically, it's about this doctor who saves this young child. Mm-hmm. He chooses to save him instead of like a big politician or somebody that would bring the hospital
rich guy
money.
They wanted him to save, yeah.
Yeah. And so he does the right thing, quote unquote. But this kid goes on to be this like heinous serial killer, and so he tries to go stop him. That's the book, and it's a lot of mystery, and it's way deeper than it seems, and it is so heavy, and it's like, oh man, it's so good. I want everyone to read Monster.
Okay.
Please.
I feel like that's really, really accessible to people who don't typically read manga either, because it's so different.
So is
It's
there
set in like Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a manga equivalent for COMICZZZZ? I think Crunchyroll.
I don't.
Crunchyroll has
think
chapters of stuff,
Okay.
but I don't know about Monster. COMICZZZZ has Monster though.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
it's the people that like, hey, Omar, you're watching, right? Tell me.
Okay. If someone in the chat knows if there's a manga equivalent for COMICZZZZ, please let me know, because you know, I don't want to get into the habit of buying another thing, because there's already too many. You guys, there's too many bad influences.
No, I know, I understand, because I thought, like, I was on the other side where I was like, I'll never get into comics. There's no way. I have way too much of the stuff I'm into. I cannot handle another thing. And then here I am with you guys every Sunday night.
Every Sunday night, 8 p.m. EST. All right. Okay, what's next?
What I want to point out with Monster for you, there are these perfect editions that are like, what are they, 2-in-1 volumes? So there are only 9. It's not that many.
Oh, great. No, but seriously, I'm actually seriously saying, if they're good-looking editions, I'll purchase them.
I kind of find a problem with them. I don't know about you, Maddie. Have you seen those?
Well,
I don't think they're like pretty necessarily. They're nice and like oversized though.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With Monster?
Yeah.
So I said we should all read it, but I'm going to be honest with you, I've only ever watched the show. I have it on my computer.
You should read it.
I know, and I want to. I think we kind of toyed around with reading it for new reader, old reader.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically I haven't read it, and Omar owns all of it. So,
I mean, I could grab a copy. My manga shelf's over there, but
go like. Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we're going to. I'm gonna read this, and then we're gonna talk about it. That's the only way I'm gonna read this.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Monsters, Fullmetal, Alchemist, and then next.
Oh, are we like going one by one? Because I think
we're just gonna talk about what we've been reading. We're just chit chatting.
Yeah,
what's up? What you read?
So
what's new?
Bust out the next one you read, Kristen.
Really? I have a whole stack here. Why don't we go one by one? You don't want to do that?
Okay.
I'll go again. I don't.
Oh, you mean? Did you mean like go one by one, like by
book by book? Yeah.
Okay. All right, Maddie, you go next. When I think about what I want to talk about.
Okay, so this week I read Black Bolt. And I can't remember why I started reading it. I just read volume 1, so I'm going to read volume 2 on, I guess Marvel Unlimited probably has it, but it was on COMICZZZZ. I loved it. And I don't normally care about the Inhumans. I have a working knowledge of them because of Hig Avengers, and then because of Annihilation and all the Cosmic Saga, because there's a lot of Inhumans in there, and that really bad show. I didn't think this is something I would pick up normally, and normally I wouldn't, but I really loved it. The art is breathtaking. It is just so beautiful. Yes, I'm good. I'm glad you have the physical copy. Yes. I don't, so I can't just show it off.
Yeah, it's by Christian Ward, the art, and it's written by Saladin Ahmed, and art by Christian Ward. Yes.
So nice. And so basically the story, Black Bolt, we see him in the beginning. He's got a muzzle over his mouth and he's in a prison.
Right.
And it's a secret prison that only the Inhumans are supposed to know about. Like, it's supposed to be a secret of the Terrigen Mist.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's there by mistake. And this isn't spoilers really, because it's the beginning. He was supposed to put his brother Maxwell, right?
Maximus
in the prison, but of course something went wrong and it would switch and he's in the prison. And so he's got to find his way out of there. And I think the best part of the book is not really Black Bolt, even though he's great, and he doesn't have powers, so he's able to talk. So we get a lot of his inner dialogue, which I like, because it really emphasizes how much he is in his head and what all he's thinking. So we don't get a lot of time with Black Bolt. Just every once in a while, we don't really know. We can just assume. He just seems very stoic. But the big highlight of this book really is all of the side characters. I
Right.
really enjoyed every side character in the book. There's a lot of different alien races, and he kind of teams up with these 4 or 5 people. Some people have a reason to be there. Some people don't. They were put there by other like bad guys. But the relationship he forms with them and how they grow is really great. And you know how I love teams working together. And it kind of gave me a Planet Hulk sort of feeling where you have this character that you know and you're used to that gets put in an unfamiliar situation and has to work with the people around him and create those bonds even when maybe he doesn't want to get through. And it takes, for somebody who's superpowered and is used to being in charge, like Black Bolt, who's used to being a king, this is very new for him. And I think it's important to have characters like that in situations where they don't really know what to do. They don't normally, they're a king and they have a lot of power and responsibility, but there's so much in their life that they haven't done for themselves. So to see how he interacts with like regular people,
right,
is nice.
He says it in one time, like, "Oh, I'm a king," like, you know, and these are nobodies.
Yeah, like the one guy's like, you know how, you know, you're driving a car and like your brakes stick, and he's like, "What? We have flying cars."
Right.
Like, okay, well, if you're not using a flying car, what are you doing? I have a teleporting dog. Okay, well, never mind. This reference doesn't work for you. And so he just goes to the next thing. It was really fun, and I really liked it. I'm not sure what to expect from Volume 2. Free, I know you read it, but I would like more of these Inhumans characters by themselves and not with the rest of the Inhumans. Because overall, I don't really sympathize with the Inhumans, the human race, and I don't know. They're just hoity-toity, and I just don't care about them.
Hoity-toity.
Yeah, no, but they are though. Like they're
I want to write
empire.
Like,
we're better than you.
Next Inhuman book should be like they're hoity-toity. Madeline Miles.
That's how I feel. How did you like Volume 2 though? Because you read Volume 2,
right? So because
how'd you feel about
that? You gushed so much about it, so I just went ahead and read both volumes right before the show started. People know that I actually vacuum my books rather than actually reading them. So Volume 2 is kind of takes up from end of volume 1. So I mean, we don't want to spoil that, and it kind of things happen. But I was like, you know, if I read volume 1 first, I wouldn't probably be as impressed. But you know, so if volume 1 is 10 out of 10, I would give volume 2 probably a solid 8 out of 10. And it becomes even like, you know, even sweet, like, and it's just more, it's all about Black Bolt in volume 2. So volume 1 had all the side characters and stuff. Volume 2 becomes all about him, and we get to see, like, you know, his relationship, like, you know, a lot of things happen in his mind, and we get to see like all the memories of his childhood that he suppressed. And it was very sad, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, his childhood was really awful. Yeah. He never really thought about it, where he's like, so for those who maybe don't know, and I assume everybody does, but you never know. So for Black Bolt, he can't speak. His power is from his voice, and it can even a whisper can be just devastating to a person. Not much less like a scream or something else. He's very, very powerful, and so he was exposed to the Terrigen Mist very, very early.
When he was in the womb, like, you know, before he was born.
So he comes out, and he said he killed his parents, right? But maybe not then. But he had to be kept in a soundproof room until he got used to his powers and could control them. And so he's alone for the majority of his life, except for Lockjaw, who's the best boy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that kind of makes you kind of understand why he cares so much about Lockjaw. Like, it kind of reminded me of the relationship between Appa and Aang in Avatar. Like, it just kind of have that. They just have that relationship. But I really liked that, you know, you were talking about his dialogue and stuff, but they're all written in third person. I don't know, for some reason I felt like that added a little bit more depth to it than I would otherwise, because you still don't know him. Someone is talking on his behalf, you know, because
I guess I didn't think about that.
Because that's his thing, like, you know, someone is always talking on his behalf because he can't speak, like, you know, he doesn't speak. because of his power. So even the dialogues are written in third person. So you were always like, someone else is talking on his behalf. Like, ooh, symbolism.
I'd love to see this team work together again, the writer and the artist. The artist is beautiful, and I really appreciate all the dialogue as well.
Right.
So I'd really like to see, I don't know, I didn't look up the author too much, but I'd like to see what else he's done. But I know that I've seen some of the artist work.
So this was his debut.
Really? It was fantastic.
This was his debut for Marvel or ever. Like, I don't think he wrote like a one-shot here and there, but I think this was his debut ever. So yeah, so he wrote one issue of Miss Marvel, and he also did Exiles, I think.
Okay.
And Quicksilver. He did something with Quicksilver. So yeah, so I'm actually kind of interested into looking into other of his book. But apparently, Riley told me that you should read Royals by Al Ewing, because whatever it happens at the same time, and that's the story of Medusa. Whatever was happening to her at the same time.
I'd be open to checking it out. I haven't really liked Inhumans much at all, but I'm always open to being proven wrong by comics. I feel like if you can find one good story can change your view on a character's everything. So I'd be interested in it.
I just kept on thinking the whole time, and this is my kinky fan fiction mind, is like, what does he and Medusa do? Because he can't speak. So
they party in his mind, right? Isn't that so they meet up?
No, I know they party in his mind, but the thing is, like, in bedroom, does she put a muzzle on him? That's kind of kinky. I'm just saying.
Who knows? With Medusa, there's got to be no. We can't get into this. I would analyze it too.
They just tie them out with the hair.
And she can control. Yeah, who needs rope when you've got Medusa hair?
All I'm saying, girlfriend cannot say "talk dirty to me." Cannot say that. That will be devastating for everyone.
Well, you do know. Okay, so that's somewhat related, and we should get to the next book after this. But don't Green Arrow and Black Canary sometimes use the canary cry in the bedroom. Isn't that sort of something that happens?
It didn't happen in my Green Arrow, so I don't know which Green Arrow.
Because there was I read this this scene, right, where someone pretended to be Black Canary and came into Green Arrow's bedroom, and he's like, "Oh man, you put on the wig for me. Ooh, I'm gonna get myself ready," and. Black Canary found out and came in, and she canary cried the person pretending to be her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? There's only thing I could do to get them out of the way." Because she canary cried where he's nearby. He's like, "Oh, don't worry. I had he had something in his ears." Because early I was getting ready because I thought, just in case. So apparently they do something a little freaky in the bedroom with canary cry also, or maybe she can't control it. And I was like, oh, okay.
You sure that's not a fan fiction you wrote?
No, I swear to you, I saw this. Okay, it's an actual.
And then you wrote the fanfic. Got it.
Someone's written that for sure. They're a pretty popular couple. Someone's seen that.
But yeah, so the thing is, I was just saying, do not say "talk dirty to me" ever. You can't
don't talk to me.
You can't do that. But anyway, what's your opinion of Inhumans? Or
I haven't read any of it. In fact, I didn't know anything about Black Bolt. So you were like, everyone knows. I'm like, didn't know that. Now I'm
okay. Well, good. I'm glad that explains that.
Yeah. Well, no, Black Bolt wasn't
learning about at the very least.
Avengers. He wasn't Hitler's Avengers.
Yeah, but I didn't really. I don't know. I didn't know anything. So.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't do much. I mean, he's been there, but yeah, he hasn't. There's no world building around him much.
So I would recommend Kristen, if you really want to get into this, I think Maddie will agree with me that this is a good place to start. I didn't know, neither of us knew anything about him, not much about him.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll humanize him first for you, so that way if you do go on to read any Inhuman stuff or anything involved, any of the Marvel cosmic stuff. It'll make him a lot more accessible as a character, I think. So,
yeah, and his name is Black Bolt, but his name is Blackaga Boltaga.
And everybody gave him shit for that. He's like, "Oh, this is my full name," and they're like,
What?
And so you just shortened it to Black Bolt, and that's like your like superhero name.
So the artist,
Okay.
so the colorist for this book at the very end, he said that Blinky's real name is Blinkagar Blackagar. Blankagar.
Oh, Blinky. I love Blinky.
Yeah, Blinky introduces herself, and it's just like alien language, so you don't know what she's. But it's a long name, right?
Yeah.
So later on, they're like, "Oh, her name was Blinkagar Blankagar."
That is so cute.
But oh my god, that's such a. I would call myself Black Bolt as well if my name was Blackagar. Oh my god.
That's so him, though. I love that he's almost got like dry.
He says it with a straight face.
He's got dry humor like Drax does in Guardians of the Galaxy, where he just does not get jokes. Because he was by himself all of his childhood. His only friend was a dog, and so people would make these jokes. He's just like,
he does have
nothing,
that
straight face.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, he gets that face all the time. All right. Well, enough about we made jokes about Black Bolt. So the one book that I have read and I've been hyping it up, anyone who would listen, is Wrinkles by Paco Roca. So this is actually literally a story about a man who is in his senior age and he's losing his mind. And then so his family kind of puts him in the senior home. Only to find out that he actually has Alzheimer's. So it's kind of, he makes his friend in his last days over there. And it's just a story of every citizen, every people in that community, senior home. So it's especially sweet and loving because it's the writer, Mr. Roca, he actually went to senior homes, talk to people, and every story for every character are real stories that he have heard. So every character is real, everyone is real. It's just the art is very super cartoonish and kind of European style, which I always love. But he uses this kind of paneling that kind of to show that what's going on. So for example, there is this his Alzheimer's, the pictures are flowing away from his head, and that happens a lot. He tries to remember something, but it just shows the picture's just gone. And then there's also this another senior citizen who thinks that she's on a train going somewhere, but she's just sitting in the next to a chair. So when she's talking, every scenery change to be a train station, but when someone else talks, it's like they're back in the senior home. So it's have this cinematic ways to do that. I mean, the very first page is that this two couple looking rather incredulous, and the man is saying that, sorry, I can't give you the loan. What's going, and then the next page, the person is like, what are you talking about? I just want you to eat your dinner. And then the scene change, and then you're back from the bank to their home, and you realize that couple is actually his son and his daughter-in-law. And he used to be a bank manager, so he was like, no, I'm not having dinner. I'm just I'm at work. So there's filled with moments like this. It's super sweet, and you fall in love with all of them. It's only 100 pages, and I can't stop thinking about it. It's been about a week I read it, but I can't. So Wrinkles by Paco Roca.
Did you cry the whole time? Because hearing those stories, I'm I'm crying the whole time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna, if I read that, it's just gonna be cry fest.
No, I was sobbing. I was sobbing hysterically. So it's just every story, it's just this little things like this happen, and you were like, oh my god. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I thought. Great. Yeah, it's a really interesting book. I mean, it's really super touching, and I recommend everyone to get it. And it's available in I'm pretty sure it's available in in-stock trade, but it's also available in Amazon for $10. So
okay,
and it's super well built, and so I would highly recommend anyone to get it. And I think there is animated movie out of this as well. I haven't seen it, but apparently there is one.
Awesome.
But yeah. So Kristen, what you got for us?
It is way less deep than that.
We need something less deep after that.
This is called Fence. It is from
Fence. I love the artist. I've been such a fan
oh
of
my
them
gosh,
forever.
the art in here is one of my favorite things. It's so good. But this is a story about a group of guys who are into fencing. And of course, like, this is like the villain character, and there's a new guy who comes from like a poor background, and he was poorly trained, but he still really loves fencing. And it's literally just about fencing. Like, there are tournaments, and the characters are really fun, and there's like a lot of LGBT characters, and I think the main two guys are so gonna get together. But it's just really fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to like who's gonna win. I like don't care about sports at all. But I find myself liking comics about sports. Like some sports manga I've read. I love Slam Dunk. Don't care about basketball. This is sort of the same deal. It's just about fencing, and I don't care about fencing, but it was so fun. So if you want something fun and light, and like Maddie said, the art is amazing, you will enjoy this.
I'd
and
like
it's a $10 trade. So.
Oh man, yeah, I've been following Johanna the Mad. That's right, she goes by.
Yes.
I've been following her a long time because she did art for a few other things I like, and I don't remember exactly what those things were anymore because I just follow her now because I see whatever. But I love sports comics. Because you mentioned like Slam Dunk.
Yeah, I love sports comics that I've read, but like
there's a sports anime I'm a big fan of called I Shield 21. It's about football. I would never watch football in real life, but it's just something I want to check out. Check Please, that hockey one too.
It's great.
So I'm glad that you picked up Fence because I've really been waiting to hear about it from someone because I really want to read it.
I think you'll really enjoy it.
And it's from Boom Studio.
Yeah, it's from Boom. They're a Boombox imprint, which I think is more like teen kind of stuff. Right. And it's wonderful. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was such a light, like really, really fast read. And the art is just so good. And the writing's really good. It's about I forget what she wrote. CJ something. I can't think of her name. C.S. Paquette, who wrote The Captive Prince, which is a really big LGBT book. I've never read it, but I always hear about it. And she's great, apparently.
Well, if you look at the volume 2, your prediction will become correct because volume 2's cover page is actually that.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I didn't look it up. I was like, they're getting together. They're so getting together.
Yeah, like, that's what, I don't know who is like the protagonist and who's the antagonist, but it's about two dudes. Nice. So your prediction is going to be correct.
Fantastic.
So volume 1, it looks like it's available in IST with 30% off. So
it's really cheap.
Yes, everyone's
price $10.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Fence. I have actually written that in my in my wish list. Maddie, what you got next?
Well, again, because I'm on my ban, I haven't been reading as much, but I did read. I've started All New Wolverine. As per requested for a lot of people. So I'll be talking more about that next week, but because you guys talked about it, and then Jess was like, hey, have you read this? I'm like, oh, no, I haven't read it yet, but I'm loving it because lately it's been a lot easier for me just to read stuff on Marvel Unlimited, which is nice because I'm primarily a DC fan. I have a lot of DC books, but it's an easy way for me to go through and check out and kind of try a lot of these series I haven't read, especially I have solo ones because those usually I don't have to know that much about what's going on. So that's been really nice. So yeah, I feel like I probably read other stuff this week, but I can't remember them now. So to everybody else, what else did you read?
Well, so this is another kind of, well, it might be a little bit too controversial, but we never shy away from controversy here. I read Inde by Ethan Hawke and Greg Ruth. So anyone here read this? So it's Ethan Hawke, the one in the actor. So it's about Apache War. It kind of depicts that took place, I think, 1872. In the place in Apache Nation, which was kind of torn apart by war after the settlement of Europeans and all the Americans, and then the whole east, like all the west, the fight between, like, for the land and everything. So it kind of talks about all of that. However, I felt like it kind of fell in the trapping of too much style over substance, that, like, they were going for over stylish art, and it is gorgeous art. Like, it is gorgeous, like, super stylish art. And, a lot of violence is depicted, a lot of, like, talk about culture, talk about, things and all that. I don't know, I just felt like there was a disconnect there somewhere. Like, it just, because the thing is, anytime they were showing violence against Native American, it was after the fact. Like, it was showing that the village burned down, people lying dead. But anytime it was swapped, the violence, like, that when the Native Americans were attacking, the white people, it was like, oh my God, look at that, them go. Like, that was more. So in a way, like, somehow in my head, it was like, so when they were talking about, like, oh, they're savages, they need to be put into a reservation. And the thing is, like, their negotiation was kind of like, they were coming, I don't know. It's just maybe because I don't know much about that aspect, and that's on me. I was kind of feeling like it was more siding a little bit too for the white people versus the Native American. Like, I ended up feeling like, yeah, I'm kind of on their side on this one, which is a bit, kind of like counter, it's not counterintuitive, but it's like, okay, it's not going quite well. And it's 100% possible that I don't know the actual, because it's based on the real story. So because I don't know the real history, the context and stuff like that, maybe that was lost because of that. So yeah, but, like, there was a discussion, this was kind of brought up when I talked about Scalped in the group. And a lot of people said that, well, Scalped is kind of insulting. I personally think if you're calling Scalped insulting to Native American, then you must say that The Wire is insulting to Black people. Like, you have to say that. You can't just pick and choose because you love The Wire, so you're going to give that a pass. But you haven't read, like, there's one person who was kind of against Scalped only to tell me they didn't read it. So that's when I'm like, okay, then, because the Scalped talked about a lot of things that you see in the oppressed minority community, like, that because of systematic oppression, how they haven't succeeded, how they have gone into, like, drugs and all these things, and how the entire a rich culture has been completely decimated. And oftentimes it's the fault of people within the community. And Scalped does it very viscerally, that at the end, I was angry. Like, I was upset, It gets that reaction out of you. But after reading this, I'm like, well, you guys are kind of a little bit hard-headed. Like, there was a disconnect. I don't know. I just, like, it wasn't something that I would recommend people to go out and read. But maybe do read so that you can teach me otherwise, because, so I understand that where I'm missing. But so far it felt a little bit pandering to me. Like,
a little problematic.
Yeah, there's something, like, something's not catching. So, I mean, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just, like, felt a little bit, yeah, here's one for you feeling thing. So, I don't know. But yeah, so that's one. It was a quick read, though, so that was a good thing. But
that's good.
Anyway. Yeah, that was, like, that's a pin quote for this book. It was a quick read, so that's something. All right. Well, Kristen, what you got next?
I got some more manga for you. Your favorite.
Yes, tell me more. At the end of this,
I read
a manga expert.
Volume 4 of The Promised Neverland. This is about this group of kids. They're orphans. It's an orphanage. They've lived there all their life. When they hit the age of, I think, 12, they are adopted. If they haven't been before that, they will be just automatically adopted. So then they leave the orphanage. What this group right here of these 3 kids, they find out, they're like the oldest kids in the orphanage. They find out when these kids are being adopted, they're not actually being adopted. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. I can't. Here's just more art. But they're not actually being adopted. It's not an orphanage. It's pretty much a farm. They're being raised as food for this group of monsters. So they realize, ooh, we're not at an orphanage. We got to get out of here because we are being raised as food and it's not okay. Which sounds crazy, and it is, but it's so fun. It's really fun and crazy and like upsetting because that's upsetting.
Right.
But it's great. That was like a plot. I mean, you find out pretty soon, but it's still kind of a plot twist. And then all this crazy stuff happens and it's really fun. So
my sister may have written a short story about this. When did this come out?
I have no idea. I know they started publishing it in English, I want to say like early this year, because there's only 4 volumes.
My sister may actually have a claim on this, copyright claim on this, because she wrote some kind of short story that says that that they find out they're being groomed to be food.
Ooh.
But I think there was something crazy like that. So yeah, it was just that as soon as you said that, I was just jolted back into my old dreams.
Maybe she's writing fanfic and you don't know it.
It's completely possible, but that was about 10 years ago, so I don't know. I don't know what she was up to.
Maybe she writes this and you don't know. That would be crazy.
Right. Maddie sent it.
Oh. She's muted.
So no, I thought that she was saying that she needed to step out.
Oh no, I'm here. If I lean over, I'm just blowing my nose. I just
okay.
All right. Well, Maddie, do you got something else for us?
No, honestly, that's it. It's been a busy, crazy week for me, so I haven't done a lot of reading, and when I do have free time, usually just as I've told, I think you guys and some people in the group, I'm still playing through all the Final Fantasies, so I'm towards the end of 5. So if I do have chill time, I've just kind of been doing that, and then catching up on like Japanese practice for my trip. So
nice.
What little reading I've got was with that.
But next week you're going to talk to us about All New Wolverine, so that will be fun. Well,
yeah, so I will also have to like catch up on next week. So I'm reading that, and I'm reading all of our new 52 Green Arrow that we have. So I'm excited to jump into that.
So the other one then I wanted to talk to you about is this book that Kristen and I both read.
Yes.
Louisa, Now and Then, by Carol Morel and adapted by Mariko Tamaki. So do you want to talk a little bit more about this?
Mariko Tamaki.
Yeah, she's the one who wrote Supergirl Being Super, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she's written some other stuff too that I've picked up before.
Well, I have She-Hulk by her on the order, so I know that she did that. But Kristen, do you want to walk us through what this is about? Because This is an excellent book.
It's so good. Okay, so as you can see on the cover, maybe you can't. Yeah, can you hold that up? No, I'll hold it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the girl on the top is the same woman as the bottom. She's 15 on the top and 33 on the bottom. So pretty much it starts out, this girl, which the art is beautiful. I love this art. She gets on a bus, as she always does. She is in like 1995. She gets off, or she falls asleep, and then she wakes up and it's 2013 and she's in a totally different place and she's trying to figure out where she is and what's going on. And she ends up running into her 33-year-old self in 2013. Who is that girl? And from then on, they're both trying to figure out what's going on. And, the 15-year-old is like, what happened in my life? This isn't what I imagined it to be. And there's a lot of sexuality struggling and both of them trying to figure themselves out. They end up blending into each other at one point. And I won't give it all away, but it is really, really good. I found the whole thing so satisfying. I breezed through this whole thing. It was such a quick read because you just get so into it,
I think it took me about like an hour, because I just kind of sat down and just thought about it right after, because I don't know about you, but I think about talking to my past self a lot because,
just what would you say? What would you do? Yep.
Yeah, it's all gonna be okay. Just to say that, that like it's just so it kind of that idea comes to life, and it's like it's kind of sci-fi, but they don't focus on that. It's all about the person, the experience, all of that. So yeah, that was a really good one, and the art, as you said, was simply
so good. And another thing that, like, I was showing this to Reed, and he pointed this out, which I hadn't even really noticed at the time, but the paneling, like the sides of the panels are not straight, and they're very, very thin, which you don't see that often. I don't know how else to describe it, but I don't even know if you can tell that. But he loved that part. I was like, oh yeah, I love that too, because it's something so unique and different, and you don't really think about it because so many people just digitally like make their stuff perfect. And it looks like she literally took like a ballpoint pen and just drew the line.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was a good, like, I got this from Amazon because I had Amazon Point and they totally botched it.
Ugh,
so
classic Amazon.
Yeah, classic Amazon, because this is the price I pay for not getting it from instocktrades.com. So
they would never do that.
They would never do that because Emily will find the USPS person and beat them up. Emily will do that for us. But the thing is, like, yeah, so, but after reading that, typically if it was damaged, I'll just return it. But now I'm like, I want a replacement. Please send me a replacement. So Jeff Bezos is on it. He's sending me a replacement for this. But it's really good. So Maddie, it's something that you should keep on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good. The art looks really good, and everything you guys have said about it makes it seem like definitely the type of book I'd like. So if I can find it on COMICZZZZ, or I'll just wait till my buying ban's over, but I'm gonna pick it up for sure.
Right. And the thing is, like, it's like if you liked the art for our Supergirl being super, like you're gonna be blown away.
It's so good.
And it's like the idea of like talking to your younger self and all that, like everything that everyone was saying, I'm like, yeah, that's how if it happened to me, that's exactly how it would go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's super like relatable and stuff. But the next one, all three of us read this because you read it recently, Maddie, for old reader, new reader.
I read it today.
You read it today, and I read it some time ago. Yeah. It's this guy over here.
This is right out. I stole this from my dad today. I'm like, I'm reading this today. I'm taking it.
All right. Well,
so good.
It's not an easy read. Okay, you guys tell me about what you felt. So I'll tell what I felt about it.
Can we talk about the ending? I don't want to spoil it for people. And I know it's noir, and I didn't expect a happy ending, of course. But I feel like... What?
Yeah. Sorry, I think it's the editing, but yeah, ending. Yeah, let's talk about the ending.
I just...
Oh, you guys wanna be bold like that and talk about the stick to the...
We don't have to. We can talk about how the ending was without saying what happened. I think we can say without being a spoiler. We can say just like it's definitely a specific type of ending. To me, it felt It felt like I was watching an indie movie or like a French film.
Yeah.
Where not everything goes how you think it's going to go. And some things just aren't great. And that's just life. And and this is something I kind of talked about on Tuesday, but even though I don't need that for all of my media, it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of a nice, refreshing change sometimes just to have a book that's just kind of like, this shit happens. This is it. You're just like, well,
I didn't feel that way.
Oh, really? Really? I mean, see, I like that every once in a while.
That's fair. That's understandable. I wish I was that way. Because what happened with me is, it's not even that it was a non-ending. It was just like, I'm trying to figure out how to say it without spoiling it. But we don't really know what happened. Right? Like, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I want to know what happened. I understand that's life and that happens. And there's so many cold cases out there that it makes sense. But isn't it great when we have a Golden State Killer moment and then we know what happened?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think some of I'm really into true crime, and we both know that we both listen to My Favorite Murder podcast. Yes. So I love things that surprise me. And it can be upsetting when it's just kind of what I expected, because I'm always constantly guessing when I'm reading anything that's like this, any sort of crime or mystery or whatever. And I'm constantly like, okay, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And when I'm surprised, when the book's done a good job of surprising me, I always am very happy I'm very excited if a book can get me, or if a movie can trick me, or whatever.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, well, I guess this.
I guess this is a thing.
But
like,
I thought this would be the most like vanilla thing that could happen. But still, it was like, this is still very real life. It's cool. But yeah, I did want to know more details. I want to know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to if you consume crime media on the regular.
Right.
But how did you feel about its relevancy even today? Because it's set in Hollywood and it's like talks about,
everything.
Women. Like, yeah, it's like, it was like, I felt like, even now we're hearing all these things and it seems like still it's relevant to a point. What you all thought about that?
I feel like especially now it's relevant. Now that like all this stuff is really coming out, like not that this isn't nonfiction, but it happened. Like those sort of things happen and still happen. And I mean, they even touch on the unfortunate child abuse that goes on in Hollywood to this day that people aren't talking about. And like obviously I'm not in Hollywood, but we know it's happening. And I hope that more of that comes out because that is a major issue. Evidently, it's a big best kept secret, just like Weinstein was. That's a problem, and it needs to be talked about. So it is crazy that like this is an era we're talking about this stuff, but yeah, it feels really relevant right now.
Yeah, that was set in like a golden age. Sorry, right around the Red Scare, around that time with like when the communist, everyone was being blacklisted for under the suspicion of being communist and all that. And one of the things that Brubaker said at the preface is that he wrote it. One of his uncle was, I think, in the industry, and he was saying that my uncle really doesn't want to talk about his time at that. Like he was like, I think like cinematographer, not even like a second cinematographer, but the thing is the things that he saw that was going on was like apparently enough to churn anyone's stomach. So that was like a lot of that was going on. I was just like, I was mostly like the whole time about
a lot
about that whole thing, because there was a scene that happens, because that kind of dawns onto you later on, that one of the actress, she gets a job and the studio head just walks into her dressing room and she just kind of undresses herself, and then he just like that's nothing, like okay fine, we're gonna do this because that's a common thing, which I'm like, girl, put that back on. But and he gets grossed out because later we find out like he gets grossed out and he's like, oh, what's wrong with you, why would you do that? You'd think that it was a more like why would you kind of whore yourself out like that kind of situation. But it comes around later on. Her agent made her, go full Brazilian bikini, Brazilian wax, because he was ashamed to be a pedophile. So when he saw her like that, he kind of ran away. So it's a complete, like, it changes the whole idea of that scene. And somehow that stuck with me more than anything. Like, and Brubaker does this, like, I have read all his indie stuff. Like, I think he hates men for some reason, because every single protagonist of his thing are such spineless assholes. Like, they're like, so spineless. And this is not an exception to that rule. Every one of them.
Everyone is so bad.
Well, like, I think that's refreshing too, because there's regular guys, like there's regular people that just have a lot of faults. And
probably
if he was in a different situation, maybe he'd be different. You see him and you're like, maybe if you weren't in Hollywood, you wouldn't have fallen prey to all of these things that happened. But
the thing is, like, I'm just saying that it's refreshing when this is the first thing you read, but when it's the last thing you read by Brubaker, you're like, oh, I see.
Oh, because every time.
Yeah, it happens. So that's the thing. Like, you were saying that, oh yeah, it's so refreshing. This is the first thing I read. This is the last thing I read by him. Like, of his indie title, I still haven't read To Be Killed. So by the time I got to that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen. We don't have enough page left. I know where this is going. And at that point, then you're like, ah, boo, Brewy, you could make it better. Like,
Well, that's kind of nice when most people put men on a pedestal, right? Like,
no, yeah, 100%. I think it's refreshing to see that. But the thing is, like, at one point you're like, oh, come on, wow.
Someone's gotta be
like,
good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that to me, I was mostly kind of taking away to see that, and it was around the same time when this whole the Me Too thing was kind of was really loud around that time. That's when I read it, so it was pretty interesting on that level, I would say. But
yeah, I feel like
what did you think about the art,
though? The art's beautiful. The art is amazingly beautiful. The use of color was really what impressed me the most.
In case
it felt
seen it, I'll show
like a whole movie.
I can't show that.
Oh.
There's a lot of inappropriate things we cannot show.
Yeah, there is a lot of inappropriate things.
Nope. Okay, that's good. But yeah, the art was beautiful. Sean Phillips did a great job. I mean, you mentioned that scene with the robe and the woman undressing. He did an amazing job at the facial expressions of all of that. Like, you felt that she obviously didn't want to do this, but felt like she had no choice. And like, you just got that from that little, close up of her face. It was really great.
Right.
But anyway, gorgeous. Also, this book, this hardcover I love a good hardcover that can just flop open and you can read it. And the spine is great. It's not mine, but I like it.
All right. But the thing is, one of the homework for you, both of you, would be to read Velvet by Brubaker.
I plan to. My dad has all of it. I'm going to steal it all.
Oh, well, no. You need to steal it and you don't need to return it.
Okay.
Because if nothing else, Velvet is like, she's such a badass. Like, she's like, I feel like if Black Widow retires, that's what's going to happen to her.
Nice.
She's like, this is like Black Widow in retirement. And over there, it's actually drawn by, I think, Philip Epting. I don't know. Steve Epting. It's drawn by Steve Epting, and it's kind of like has a photorealistic vibe to it, and it's just like, anytime she's drawn nude, it's like a realistic body, like, for her someone at her age, that makes everything like 100% sexier. Like, I don't know, and she has this like white hair, like strip like this, and she kind of looks like this badass all the time. And I loved this story so much. So that's your homework, to read this.
Got it.
And the thing is, like, once your buying ban is over, Maddie, you need to get this.
Oh, I'm gonna get it for sure. I want to read all of his stuff now. Like, I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can actually do like a show just on all the Brubaker's work. It's probably gonna be sometime next year because there's a lot. But
that'd be cool though.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, one thing I would recommend, do not read his indie stuff one after another. Take a break.
It's a lot, right?
It's a lot. And at one point, you're like, dude, didn't you just write the story elsewhere before? Like, if I was his only editor, I'd be like, didn't you submitted this before? Go back and rewrite this. But Velvet is actually kind of one of a kind. It's completely different. Velvet and Fatal. But everything else kind of had the same, like, it's the same characters, but the story is a little bit different. So yeah. All right, Matt, Kristen, do you got anything else?
Yes, I read volume 1 of Trees.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
By Warren Ellis. It is an image book. Anybody read it? I assume you haven't. Maddie, have you? No.
I haven't.
Okay. Well, it is about these. Let me see if I can find a good picture of it. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see this, but these trees, because it's called Trees, guys, will basically land or grow in this town. And it's really super sci-fi. And they stand there and kind of just creep everyone out. There's just more trees. Yeah, so they're kind of silent and they don't really do anything. And 10 years, like, they start to realize, oh, maybe something else is going on with these trees. I don't know how else to explain this book. It was super sci-fi. A lot of things happen. I can't show you everything. I don't know how I felt about it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna read the next volume. I loved that there were like really diverse characters. One of the main characters is transgender, which I never even see ever, really, which is awesome in comics. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it. Like, crazy stuff happened, and I still don't know what really happened, but it was also interesting. I know that doesn't help you. Look at this tree. I really don't know what's happening with the trees still, and I think that's part of the point. Eventually, we're gonna know about the trees, and now I want to know. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What's going on with the trees?
So Warren Ellis is actually known for that kind of thing. Like, he really gets you hooked up on a
that makes sense then.
Yeah, and then you're just like, what's up with that?
Yeah, and then the ending happened, and I'm like, wait, I can't tell you what happened, but I was like, whoa. Volume 2, I guess. I don't know what happened. So,
right, and
I don't know.
The thing is, like, I don't know how it is over here, but I love that he writes. He's kind of like an anti-rule breaker in terms of his protagonists and stuff. Everyone is super cool and super competent, you guys.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
there's no room for they're the kind of people who can shoot an arrow without looking and then just walk away to the sunset, with things blowing up behind them. Like, every one of his characters like that, which I'm a sucker for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it doesn't matter. You tell me Warren Ellis, I'm like, I'll read it.
Yeah, they were all diverse and super strong and confident.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I got you. I'm in. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I got it. There's trees.
Right. And then you're just so filled with competency. You felt competent. Then you felt like, I can go out there and I can cut down some trees, damn it, or whatever it is that they're doing. I don't know. But
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but okay, so trees. Okay, you really liked it, because I heard some other folks talking about it, but I wasn't sure how it is going. But okay.
Again, I don't really know how to explain it to you, but I know I'm going to read the next one. So, okay.
You sold me at Warren Ellis.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, you sold me at that. All right. Maddie, you got anything else? I'm going to go through the round every time. I don't know why I'm putting Maddie through that.
Don't do it.
Okay.
I feel even alive.
Just start pulling things.
Matt is in in her NyQuil world. Guys, please. One of the other ones I read, this was also suggested to me because I asked for some political satire books. So it's called Weapons of Mass Diplomacy. So it's a satire written by Lanzak. Hang on. Abel Lanzak, it's actually a pet, a pseudonym for diplomat Antoine Baudry. And when he was, so this is kind of his experience when he was he was a diplomat in the French foreign minister. Oh,
that is super cool.
It is.
Actually, I have a master's in diplomacy.
Oh, you do?
And security studies. Yeah. So, I did a lot of work. I mean, that was the track I was going to go on with my life, foreign service and stuff. So I read a lot of books on diplomatic theory, and a lot of memoirs about people in the foreign service. So that sounds really awesome. So that's really cool.
I got a book for you. So this is a satire. So if you have seen Veep, and if you've seen that kind of show, this is kind of like Veep happening in French minister. So this is around the same time when France, for the 9/11 and the Iraq War, France said that, no, thanks, So this is around that time. So instead of saying Iraq, they come up with a fictional country, but it's clearly them. And it's kind of like some of the ridiculous thing that goes on behind the scene about script, about speeches, about what needs to happen and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's so well written and well drawn because the characters are so larger than life and they're so expressive. So you can see that through the writing, through the way that they talk to each other. So they're always moving their hand, you can feel the urgency of things. So I wanted to kind of find this. So at one point, anytime the minister shows up, he's very aggressive. He's kind of like a like, whirlwind kind of thing. So anytime he comes into the room, it's like kind of shown in like doom, like that, because he's like doom coming and then leaving. So it's like filled with that kind of moment. So it's called Weapons of Mass Diplomacy, and it's like once again, I know that Kristen, what did you do?
Oh yeah. It flops open real nice. Yeah.
Hardcover that flops open real nice. Look at this, Kristen.
Or like those funky paperbacks that just flop open. Can't get enough.
So there's a lot of that, and a lot of like nonsensical elements about it. It's amazing. So yeah, this is like if you are looking for a political satire that will like make you laugh, this is one of them. So Weapons of Mass Diplomacy.
Read that.
Yeah, by Abel Lanzak. That's the pseudonym. But if you look up Weapons of Mass Diplomacy in Amazon, I don't think In Stock Trade has it. But if you look at it in Amazon, and they did a good job with this one. It arrived undamaged. So,
good.
So that's another one. Do you got another one, Kristen, or do you want me to?
I do. Okay. One that I know you have read now.
Oh, yes.
Which is Madame Cat, translated from French. I feel like you can really tell. In a good way. The cartooning is so good. It's just about this cat named Madame, and she has these little, like, some of them are only a few pages, little adventures with her human, and it's super funny and entertaining. And I think I read that, like, there are several of these out in, like, France. They haven't all been like translated. I will literally buy all of these now. I found it so joyful. I loved the character, and I love the human, and I love their interactions, and it was really just like so fun. I loved it. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say that you kind of introduced me to this, and it's like a super cute little book, like this, but it's like the cat is just so sassy, and you can tell, like, you can tell that she is like, that's how a cat is like. Anytime I see a cat, that's how they are.
I have one cat like that. I have two cats, but one is like that.
Right. She's just like, just going about and ruining everything, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is my life and stuff like that.
It's just so funny and cheeky.
Yeah. So is there gonna be more of this coming out?
I actually looked that up, but I think there were several other books of this character that are released in France. So I'm hoping that they like translate them all. I mean, how great is this? It's great. It's just great.
Right. And the thing is, most of the time it's just like just silly things.
Yeah,
like one page of silliness. So this one is like was my favorite. Like she's kind of like, that cat is doing like in front of the mirror, just kind of putting his hand up and down and down. So then the next page, the human comes and says like, hey, this is how a mirror works, right? And then the last thing that the cat just looks at her and says, hey, can I now do my Tai Chi in peace? Like,
it's so silly. It's so good.
that's I feel like a cat, that's what it is. Like, you are trying to teach me how mirror works.
I know what's going on.
I know what's going on. Like, it's just like so perfect little things like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. So thank you for introducing me about that. So the next one that I'm going to kind of do quickly, because this is something that the Omnibus Live did about this, is the Ant-Man by Nick Spencer. It's kind of like, just from the movie from MCU, Scott Lang, his adventure that he's trying to kind of get himself together, get his life together, and try to open up a security business. And then all kinds of shit hits the fan, and all the D-list villains and stuff with your usual Nick Spencer humor. And it's just perfect. Like, it's something that, you're upset with your life and stuff. Just go and read it, because you're going to realize that other people are living worse life than you. And you will feel good about this. Like, it's just like, because Nick Spencer does D-list superheroes so well. He did Superior Foes, which is like just as amazing, and just as like, people just throw their life, like, being D-lister when there is like Tony Stark, Captain America exist in this world. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, he got he was sued by Tony Stark in this because he was trying to use his likeness in one of the billboards for his security business. So it's like filled with moments like this. So, and it's kind of nice, like, available in a nice chunky trade.
How does it open?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Like, yeah, look at that. It opens just
Perfect.
fine.
You one hand that. That's awesome.
Yes. And and the thing is, like, also in the spine, you have this little ants just going around.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's so sweet. And the thing is, like, it's like the whole thing is like him turning small, and then the ant are just kind of jumping up and down. Like, it's just really sweet. I really like this book. Like, it's just perfect read. Like, if you were kind of sad about something and just want to relax and not overthink things, this is the book for you.
Love it.
Yeah, so that's the next one. Do you have another one to go?
Yeah, last week actually, I read Rogue and Gambit.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yay, I read that too. We can talk about it.
So good, right? I loved it. Pretty much, I mean, everybody knows Rogue and Gambit, but they set out on this mission where they have to pretend to be a couple, because of course they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they end up on this like crazy island where stuff is happening, and they got to figure it out and figure themselves out as a couple. And it was just so fun. I loved it.
Yeah, I really felt like it was just nice and short and sweet to the point. It's just nice little side adventure.
So is Mr. and Mrs. X a follow-up to this?
That's what I've heard. Yes.
Okay.
So I look forward to that. The new one?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, because I feel like it was somebody I knew.
But this is written by Kelly Thompson, who is amazing.
Yes.
So
she's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Nick Spencer, I'm actually planning on meeting him in whatever this con is in Philly in September 16th.
Keystone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Keystone. Yes. Keystone. So I'm actually planning on going to Keystone because there's like a couple of great creators will be there. Your buddy Kyle will be there.
Say hi to Kyle.
Yeah. So I'm actually planning on going for that to meet them. But speaking of Kyle, I read one of his comic. Like,
did you like it?
It's really fun. It's just a super dumb action.
Yes.
Like, it's just like, it's kind of like the premise of it is exactly like Raid the movie, where it's like, or like Judge Dredd, like they're in a building and then the situation is you have to go to the top to get to the bad guy, and there's this three mismatched characters who just kind of gets on it, and it's like non-stop violent action dumb fun. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
I read this after reading Wrinkles, and because I needed that.
Right?
Yeah, I needed that. So so I read that, and I actually have, after reading that, I'm actually planning on getting Sex Castle and Rock Candy Mountain, because I'm like, are all of them like this?
No, I'll say Sex Castle is sort of action movie like in that sense, but I find it like it has a bigger heart than you will expect it to have, which is very nice. Like, I think you'll like the twisties and the stuff in it.
Okay.
And then Rock Candy Mountain is about hobos, so it's different. But it's all great. His dialogue is just wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, and I think like it's more like, I don't know, like you would expect from like a B movie kind of thing, like, and he draws them as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so his drawing is kind of like everyone is so angry and like there's like no nonsense, and it's very colorful, and like the violence is just non-stop. And it's one of those things, like, I feel like everyone is screaming at every time. Like, every dialogue is being screamed at me. And frankly, sometimes that's what you need. Like,
I love it. I feel like a lot of that is like parodying like those sort of movies too.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Super fun.
Yeah, so I was like introduced. So once again, thank you for introducing me to his work. Because
now you got it signed.
Yeah, so I'm like, I kind of got that as like a first one because you kind of said that, get started there. So I'm like, now I'm planning on getting all the others in my next one. Now that all the other ones that you told me about, trees, fence,
everything, fence, yeah.
Fence, and then monsters.
So
with all of that, yes. So anything else? I feel like we've gone on enough, or do you have a couple more that you want to quickly?
We're good. We can do it. Yeah.
No, go for it. If you have a couple more,
just a little bit. I read Heathen. We're not going to talk about that though.
Right, we're going to talk about it. Yeah.
I read Cheese Sweet Adventures.
Oh, I love Cheese. Oh. Well, I've never read Cheese Sweet Adventures, but I read Cheese Sweet Home. Is it the same thing?
Cheese Sweet Home.
I love Cheese Sweet Home.
Is amazing. It's one of my favorites ever, actually. This, I don't know what this is based on, but it came out recently. So I was like, oh, I have to get it. And it's interesting because Cheese Sweet Home isn't paneled like this. So these are just like little adventures, which is why it's called Cheese Sweet Adventures. I feel like there's a show on Amazon or something, which I need to watch because I love Chi. But they're just like little adventures with the same family and Chi being adorable. So if you like Cheese Sweet Home, this is a thing for you. You'll wanna read this.
Is it like more like a Madame Cat?
She's different in the sense that she is like a little kitten and she's so adorable and she doesn't like know a lot. She just loves everyone and she goes through life trying to figure out like she doesn't even know what a cat is, right? So she's not sassy like Madame. If you haven't read Cheese Sweet Home, which is not this, but it's so good. It's like 12 volumes and it's wonderful. It's just so cute and it's about her just walking around being a cat and then trying to figure out, wait, where's my mom? What's happening?
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out because I kind of need a couple of those in my life, kind of when I'm
fun,
sad.
Cutesy, happy. It'll make you happy.
Right, because that's why I keep. Where did it go? Oh, it's behind me. Raina Telgemeier.
Oh yeah, I love all of her books.
Like she wrote like Sister. These three ones. Sister, Ghost, and Smile. Like it's just like I have three sisters, so when I read Sisters, I'm like, yep, that's us.
That's it.
Yeah, and anyone who had braces should read Smile because that's you, And Ghost is such a sweet book.
Ghost is so
like,
good.
It's like such a sweet book of two sisters, and one of them is suffering from I forgot what is it.
I'm trying to remember too.
Like cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
So so she's suffering from cystic fibrosis, and it just kind of like it was amazing. I don't want to but the thing is, anytime you read any one of this book, you just feel happy. Like,
have you read drama?
I have read drama.
That was good too.
Yeah, drama was good, but not compared to like these. Like
those were
those were like a little bit. That was a little bit more teenage school drama, like
right.
So I feel like I connected with these three more, so I kind of got these three instead. But yeah, so that's like that. So I would add Chi to my list as well. But and then I have a couple that I want to get through very quickly. I read We Can Never Go Home by Matthew Rosenberger, and it's okay. It's aggressively okay. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just like two teenagers going around making like bad decisions. So if that kind of thing kind of goes for you, this is for you. But it's actually Read Four Kids Walk in a Bank. That's by the same writer, and it's significantly better. He also wrote Tale of Suspense by Hawkeye and Winter Soldier. I think that's him. He's also writing the current Punisher Max. Punisher and Punisher Max. But he has improved significantly, and this is kind of one of his earlier work. So I think it kind of suffers from that a little bit. That like he kind of getting his bearing together. This other one that I read and really loved is Gamora by Nicole Perlman, and this is kind of like by the same. She was a co-screenwriter for MCU Guardians of the Galaxy, so she kind of wrote like a standalone Gamora story, and it's very much a canon to the MCU. So it's like the same sisterly relationship between Gamora and stuff, and I feel like it kind of gives you why they hate each other in the movie so much. So it's kind of like a story before you met the Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So it's a very much of an MCU canon and it's very standalone. So if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie, get this, the Gamora story. I don't know if they have done this for Star-Lord, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. So
I really hope that we get a Mantis story now because she's part of the group.
That'd be
right.
fun.
I think
Give me Mantis.
I think where did I heard that she's gonna be featured somewhere soon? I heard.
I hope so because she hasn't been in this stuff from what I understand. Because I'm kind of keeping up with Guardians, but I'm kind of not because I don't really read issue to issue. She was kind of absent, which was kind of a bummer. I'm happy because Richard Rider, who's Nova, had come back after like years of being gone. He's in Guardians right now, but I'd love to see more of Mantis. And I like non-MCU Mantis, but also I love MCU Mantis. So if I could see something more like that of her in the comics, it would be really nice.
Yeah, and then this is kind of like a very MCU heavy. Like this is like directly like because I think previous continuity, Gamora and Nebula are not sisters, or like they don't have any connection the way that it's shown. But over here, the character design, everything is just from MCU. From Thanos to Gamora to Nebula, like everyone looks like the movie. So it's a very movie kind of scenario. And the thing is like Gamora, like this is one scenario where she's like a badass. You know how there's like the stereotype that the lady is like, oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna kill you because I learned. No, she's none of that.
Yeah, Gamora doesn't care about that.
Yeah, she's none of that, because you get to a feeling where it's like, oh yeah, she's your stereotype kicks in and you're like, oh yeah, she's gonna say she's gonna save this girl. Nope, next panel she is like off the head. Like it was like really fun that way. But yeah, that's all that I have on my side. There's a couple other things I did read, but we can talk about it in a different time. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I'm good.
No, that's it.
Yeah. But the important stuff is next week we are going to have a special guest with us, our very own from the Omnibus Collectors Group, Frank Goggle, who will be talking to us about his debut graphic novel, Grief. So this is available at his store, and it will be available in in-stock trades and Amazon and all the other good places starting August 29th, I believe. Like hang on. No, I want to give the correct number. Yeah, it will be available from August 28, 29, but he will be joining us on August 26th episode to talk about all his favorite comics, what inspired him, and all that jazz. Those of you who have joined us and have read this before, reread it, and we can join us in our discussion. If you haven't read this, it's amazing. I mean, it's filled with so many heavy topic and things like it's written from his heart. So I highly recommend you read it, and we're going to be joining him next week to talk about more of this. Are you ladies excited about that?
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Right. So with that, I guess it's kind of, we're going to be doing a sign off for us with like a pick of the week kind of thing. It's something that we want you to read, listen to, or watch because we loved it. So Kristen, why don't you just do the pick of the week, start us off?
Can I talk about something I've already talked about?
Go for it.
I'm gonna pick Madame Cat because, as you said, I think it's a great book to pick up if you need something fun and happy, especially if you're, just sad that day or angry or anything. So this is my pick of the week.
And if you own a cat.
Yes, it is very relatable.
Right. Maddie?
Okay, my pick of the week is Black Bolt. So I've talked enough about it, but please pick it up. It's definitely really good.
Yeah, Black Bolt by Saladin Ahmed and Christian Ward. And my pick of the week would be, and I don't know if the movie's out anymore, but I'm pretty sure it will be out in like DVD or Blu-ray very soon. It's a movie called Blind Spotting written by David Diggs and Rafael Casal. It's a superbly well done movie about race relationship, gentrification, but told from the point of view of two friends, best friends, who grew up in Oakland, California. And it's just amazing. I loved it. I mean, I watched it, like, I don't usually go to see drama movie in the theater, but I saw it twice in the theater. So it's that good. And I'm pretty sure it's probably coming out in the Blu-ray pretty soon. So if you haven't seen that already, please catch that. So with that, we'd like to also give a shout out to InStockTrades.com, our lovely sponsor, where you can get all your collected editions for 40 to 45% off, for 42 to 45% off, depending on whether you have bought from them in the previous week or not. Shipping within the United States is free for $50 and above, and you can get all kinds of books with like excellent customer service. So InStockTrades.com. All right, we'll see you all next week. We'll be joined by Frank Goggle, and have a great week. And check out all the pick of the weeks that we have talked about today.
Buy all the books.
But yeah, buy all the books. That's right. All right, from InStockTrades.com. All right.
Yes.
Good night.
Bye.